Right, good evening. This is a meeting of the Groton Board of Education being held on August 4th, 2025. In attendance is Mike Whitney, Matthew Schulman, Jen White, Andrea Ackerman, Adrian Johnson, Dean Antipas, and Ian Thomas, and myself, Beverly Washington. The first thing on the agenda is discussion and of the superintendent's evaluation, but the superintendent's going to give us the first part in open session, and then we will go into executive session for that.
Right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to have given you the information that I did, reflecting back on a year of a lot of challenges and successes and hard work together with this board. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this board works tirelessly to ensure that every child, and it's our belief that we remain steadfast, that our belief is that every child deserves access to high quality education from the very start, from early childhood through graduation. And in that, we're preparing our students not just for college and career readiness, but for a lifelong journey of learning. And I know that we believe that together, and it's a real commitment in this group. I did send some highlights to just lift everything to the surface because there were a lot of words in that self-reflection and a lot of documents that I included in it. One of the things that I really wanted to share is looking ahead and envisioning what's in our future. And I know that you're very much aware and have brought this to the attention to the town, that with the potential increases that we have in student enrollment based on the information that I'm receiving about the Columbia-class submarine being built here and families rotating through in the next 15 to 20 years, as well as the building availability of apartments and condos that we've noticed. We need to be planning, the community needs to be planning for our future. So there were some things that I earmarked. We've talked about repurposing Mary Morrison as an early childhood center. With the ECAT program, which is the early childhood assessment team, we could put together preschool and pre-K, TK, along with some of the specialized programs in that building. And what that would do is offset the classroom occupancy and provide more occupancy in the Thames River School and the Mystic River School. So to host our early childhood center in one place, we would be able to get more resources in there for young children, our youngest learners. And we would also make classrooms available for other children that would be moving in potentially. Building a new Charles Barnum, it was the 1964 largest military connected student population school. It was our first blue ribbon, and we're very proud of it. It's still got a wonderful climate culture, and they've done a great job keeping it up. But should we need more room, imagining building another school that could host 500 students could be a potential. Renovating the vintage wing, I talked about that a lot. And could that include fields and outdoor buildings, starting with the culinary, which we've already started working on through Perkins grants, an auto shop, wood shop that could become a manufacturing center with partnership with EB. There are other upgrades that we can see in the auditorium. We've already tried to work on sound systems. The seating, when you go in there, it looks tired. It looks like it has aged. And then, library also has a pit that we can't really utilize well. So all those rooms in the vintage wing could probably use some upgrades. And then we've talked about Groton Middle School was basically full occupancy when we moved in. And so that's a concern. It was built to have 100% occupancy 100% of the time, which meant the teachers didn't really have their own classroom. Core teachers may have a space, but they have to move in and out to allow other teachers to have rooms to teach in. So that's just keeping that on our horizon. I really feel our schools are a launch pad, places where students are encouraged to explore, lead, and soar. We're preparing them not just to graduate, but to rise. And of course, Our vision of a graduate is very, very important to all of us, for them to be resilient individuals, innovative learners, socially aware citizens, and engaged communicators who are ready for lifelong learning. And I've heard this from board members, civic responsibility, which is very important, and meaningful careers. And through our partnerships, especially noting Electric Boat and the boat program, we do have students who often will find a career in the trades, you know, even before they graduate. So that is something that we really keep on our mind. So the first goal really is around student achievement. And with this board, I had set the goals last year, and these really are, if I look at them, 2 to 3 year goals, maybe even 5-year goals. But student achievement for every superintendent is the #1 goal. These performance goals all come from CAPS, Connecticut Association of School Superintendents, and they really are pretty universally used. In ours, we actually talked about what the ESSA, Every Student Success Act provided, and the next generation accountability system requires that we have a district score of 85 by 2030. That's for all school districts in the state. Our accountability index in 24, which is the only one we know of to date, was 69.9 or nearly 70. With the district performance index, which are our DPIs for English language arts, math, science, the goal is 75 for 2030. And for our DPI, for literacy, we were 65.2. For math, we were close to 60, 59.4. And for science, we were 61.9. So there was a chart that I had included in my goal setting that would really be measurable goals, and that could, with accelerated learning, we could see the results by 2030, achieving these goals potentially. So that is kind of our quest. And certainly the principals are very aware, administrative team is very aware, my assistant superintendent is very aware and has set forth a strategic plan to help us get there with the school community and your support. One of the things that I wanted to bring to the attention is, with the support of the board, we've really been able to craft goals around breaking up this strategic plan, this district improvement plan, to focus first on the elementary grades and looking at the science of reading and literacy, looking at mathematics, doing some research, PD, and making some potential changes for the future in mathematics. So, and really looking in the next year or so, expanding this from elementary through middle school and then into the high school. STEM is also a big focus, not only in our enrichment programs and in our intra-district magnets, but also at our STEAM MYP middle school and also in our career pathways at the high school. We also have a goal. I say we because they are my goals, but I've heard you say it too. I know these are shared goals. I know when you go to set your goals, these will be ever present. This will hopefully be a guide too in alignment, but certainly looking at chronic absenteeism is a real problem for some of the grown-ups after COVID or during COVID, and also for the students. But certainly for our students, we want to encourage them to come back, and that is going to be the focus. We're going to be doing some PD around that at the administrative retreat on the 18th. And we have a consultant who's going to be working with us throughout the year in really trying to improve the chronic absenteeism that our students have seen. So with that being said, the other thing that I'm really excited about, and it's really Dr. Mancini's brainchild, so I give her credit for that, but to have, instead of having just data teams at the schools and data teams at the district, she's invited the school data teams to present to the central office data team at least a couple times a year, and to use their data to really do school improvement planning. So with the strategic plan, which is really under Ed Leadership Goal 2, the strategic plan that was developed by our school community, school-wide community across the district, and Beverly Washington was able to sit in on those meetings as well. That should align directly to what we're coming up with as a district improvement plan and these school improvement plans. So looking at accelerated learning, looking at chronic absenteeism. And so it means that it's all aligned and we'll all be working on these initiatives together and have a tiered platform of how to reach these goals. So, and the kind of interventions kids might need, families may need in order to achieve the goals. I would say that in the strategic plan, I think you've all received copies and you've read it. You've heard about it firsthand, but accelerated academic achievement is one of the #1 goals, one of the first of the 5 pillars. Cultivating a rich and vibrant learning community is another. Strengthening pathways that develop secondary readiness. Attract and grow skilled supported workforce. And improve operational efforts and increase fiscal responsibility. So I feel like the strategic plan really captured our work in schools, teaching and learning, operations and finances. And so the third goal is really about organizational management. And I have to say that this year required the idea of really nurturing high quality teams and bringing everybody on board, probably more than any of my other years in education. When we talk about one ship, one crew, and all hands on deck, when you have 4 different finance directors in 3 years and a rotation of people coming in and out, it really requires everyone in the finance department, everyone at central office, all the principals to be on top of budgets and their own budgets and also seeing the bigger picture. And then working with the board, who really was so supportive in the process in making sure you understood it and you asked questions when you didn't. That was really invaluable in the process, and we got the job done. In the midst of having a town review and, several audits going on at the same time. And then, ensuring that, we had staff that was retiring or leaving and we were filling in those seats. And so now I feel like we really do have a good solid team, and we have, I'm looking forward. I'm enjoying working with the finance director, Rita Parsiak, and she is pulling together her team, and she's, really got some really good ideas and is making sure we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. The other part of this operational component, besides the financial component, is we did complete an educator evaluation plan this year, new. It was based on Tim Marshall's work, where we get into classrooms more often. There were at least 4 mini lessons per staff member. They get timely feedback. There's more conversation. There's initial, mid-year, end-year reflections and conversations happening. And not only does this improve the support that we give our teachers and align with professional learning, but it also builds relationships and it improves culture and climate in the building. I really do believe that. And I think the better we get at it and the better we follow through with it, the better off it is. And Anne Marie and I really kept documented, who all of these mini evals that were done through mini lessons and the mid-year and end-year evaluations, and are working with our principals to ensure that this continues and we get even better at it. And then I would say that, those are just 2 examples of what comes under operations. Community relations is the 4th goal, and I think strong community relations are critical. I think being present and being, able to go to some of those family engagements, whether it's sports or academic driven or the plays or the musicals, are really important. And I see board members there all the time as well. And I think it's critical that we're there and we're seeing our families and seeing our students. The schools also have events whether they're literacy events, art celebrations, any kind of recognition, we want to make sure that we're there to support that as well. I think you saw the School Matters. We had that twice a year. This past year, we had it 3 times. So I've asked Rebecca that we make sure we do it 3 or 4 times next year, because I think that's good information. I've had it suggested to me that even looking at the board notes, there may be things that I can just publish that are weekly in the weekly updates that can be published to the larger community. And certainly it's going to the RTM and the town council and some of the representatives, but it's information that I think families would appreciate. So your feedback on that would be great. And then Parent Square has really been seen as a great tool. Sometimes we over communicate. I know sometimes you probably get dinged too many times with Parent Square. But you know, parents are able to have it text message, a phone call, all of the above. But we have gotten good response from families that it does keep that line of communication open, and it's a two-way communication, especially with the teachers and the parents. And then, of course, the website is still a work in progress. I know it's not all the way there. You know, you've brought some suggestions to us, and I certainly take that into consideration. But trying to work with the principals to keep an eye on their school websites, the athletic director to keep, you know, up to date with his, and, you know, then to get the support from central office with our communications coordinator as well. She's actually going to train more people on both Parent Square and on the website, and host some training so that there'll be more people at the school level that can keep updating the website and can use the Parent Square. I know communications isn't always good. Sometimes it's really hard. This year, it started out being heartbreaking with news about students in an automobile accident, and you know, and hearing other information about threats made to schools. I mean, sometimes it's really devastating. I have to say that with the partnership with our police department and the chief of police, he will get me information as soon as he knows, but sometimes, like with any investigation, they only know so much in the beginning, and the more that they investigate, the more that they learn. So trying to keep families briefed is really important. I thought it was really important for he and I to go to the schools and the PTOs to talk to families and listen to what families had to say, teachers, and we met with the teachers first, and then we met with the PTO, and some of the teachers and parents were there. And I guess my takeaway in that is to give information as soon as you can, as full as you can, you know, without interrupting an investigation. But also listening to what the teachers and the parents had to say. And they did discuss things like more security in our schools. So we did broach and do a COPS grant this year. We're waiting to hear on that, to have SROs in the elementary school. We already have DARE officers, and they do serve our schools, and there's another person in the police department that knows our principal, and they can communicate and work together. But I think to have more security in the elementaries is pretty vital, and I heard that loud and clear. So, you know, the signs, and I don't know that the signs are big enough. I think we need to get bigger signs, no trespassing. And all of our schools have walking trails, which is lovely. But that's also, you know, a concern that people could be walking on school property or parking their cars to get them filled up with electricity. So we've had a lot of discussion, you know, and I brought it to your attention so we could discuss it and figure out what are some next steps. And I appreciate you listening and helping to solve some of these problems. And then, of course, performance goal 5 is the goal with the Board of Ed. And it's important for us to have strong relationships, to be able to ask each other questions, to be able to talk and have conversations. We certainly have lots of places and opportunities for that. You know, it's important for me to be able to provide professional advice and give you updates on educational needs. It's important for me to be able to communicate operational plans, and certainly, we've done that around budget time especially. Communicate about emergency concerns, so every time there's an emergency or something that comes out of one of the schools, I ask for it to be sent to me first, and then usually we're forwarded to you right away as one of my first steps. Just because I know in my role, I don't like to be the last to know. I like to be the first to know. I like to be ahead of it so that, and I certainly know that that's your take on it too, and I appreciate that. And then I would say, it was really helpful for me during the budget process to have those frequently asked questions that you brought to my attention so that we could get that information out to you. I also appreciated when the town council and the RTM would provide questions ahead of time instead of just going to a meeting and then say, I'll get back to you. I think it's so important to be prepared at those meetings. So I thank you for that. And as I said, we have the board notes, the weekly updates, we do 2 COWs and a regular meeting. The time and dedication, like I said, that comes from this volunteer organization is amazing. It's probably one of the most committed groups that I've seen to be able to spend the time and energy to support teaching and learning. And then we have committee meetings, as you all know, and budget meetings, and our budget meetings were hours and hours, days and days. And but we not only got to a budget that we felt comfortable with, but we also had to cut $2.4 million off that budget. But we did it together. The tracker sheet is really hard to track sometimes and gets really confusing, but hopefully next year we'll figure out even a better plan for keeping track of it. Certainly help now as we put the budget together to look back, and we've kept notes on everything. So I would say that sometimes my communication can be too lengthy. Sometimes it can be too short and sweet. Sometimes it's on time, and sometimes it catches me by surprise too. And I apologize if it catches you by surprise, because sometimes it happens in a timely manner, and sometimes we learn about things later on. So, and then the last of the goals is really goal 6, which is personal and professional qualities and responsibilities. And it's important that I make ethical and sound decisions and carefully think out and work with a team in thinking things through, you know, involving constituents that may be involved. And it's really important that we all maintain the belief that students can achieve at high levels. There's one goal for you. These should be our first goal always, right? That I involve the Board of Ed, the schools, the larger community in that vision of the graduate. So everybody is aligned to that. And it's not just for high school seniors. It's really, what does it mean in preschools? What does it mean in elementary? What does it mean in middle school? And what does it mean for those high school and high school graduates? So that's something that we'll continue to work on. I do believe that I maintain high standards for ethics, honesty, and integrity, and always act or try to be very professional. I also am good at maintaining poise and exhibiting diplomacy. And, you know, I try not to take anything personal. I try to take critical feedback with open arms so that I can learn from it and make the district even better. And then, you know, I am a diehard advocate and believer in public education. I will write convictions around legislation. I will present at the state capitol if I have to. I'm always keeping my eye on what are the needs for Groton, and I voice those concerns at all different levels in the state, at the nation, knowing that we're a military community and knowing that we have a great responsibility to the military children and all our children. And so, and I'm happy to do that. I kept up with teaching and learning through my professional organizations, National Councils of Teachers of Math and English, and the National Science Foundation, the CAPS and CADE, and even the military organizations, NAFSIS, which is the National Federation for schools that are impacted. And that's the group that we go to for impact aid. And then also I've been honored to serve on university boards, Connecticut State Department of Connecticut, Central Connecticut State University STEM Board. URI UConn has an anchor program, which is really exciting. And then the Nautilus Board. I even got to present to subject this year, which was really quite fun. And then I was asked to take on a mentor as a mentee for UConn's executive leadership program this year. So you've met her and she'll be joining us at different meetings. So it's an honor to serve here and an honor and a privilege. And I thank you for all your support and for your hard work, because nobody works as hard as you do. I have to say, and I do. We've all worked very hard.
Okay. With that being said, I'll take a motion to go into executive session. And with Jay's coming, so I want to make sure Jay's in. I have a motion to go into executive session. Mike, you looking at me?
Oh, I didn't know if Jen moved it, yeah.
No, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
Did you have a
It was
question?
seconded? No.
No.
It was seconded?
No, I didn't second it.
Oh, I'll second that.
Okay, second. Okay. Right? I thought you had a question.
No, I was just wondering if it's seconded.
Andrea. All those in favor of going into executive session, and we are heading down to Susan's office. And
I have
Susan
candy. in
will
that
be
thing.
departing.
I have my sister from California and we're going on a family dinner, so. But Beverly promised that she'll share with me. And well, next steps. I'll speak with you.
All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstentions, so approved.
Thank you. And there is a candy jar.